There was a recent article titled, I Deleted Websockets and Haven't Looked Back from Joe. And I think it's a really great article and a reminder that not everything needs to be a WebSocket or broadcasted from our Rails application, especially if it's something where we are dealing with mission critical data. And so in this episode, we're going to take this idea of using polling instead of WebSockets. I'm still a big fan of WebSockets, but there are certain situations where you may want to reach for polling instead. It is going to be a case-by-case situation, and I think in general, the broadcasts that we get with Turbo are really good and stable. But sometimes if we are working with some mission-critical data, then you may want to reach for polling instead, because that's always going to be more accurate as the source of truth is constantly being fetched and refreshed from the database. And I do like the approach here that Joe takes, where you have a turbo frame tag, and within that turbo frame tag, you have a stimulus controller called poll. This stimulus controller creates an interval, which then causes that turbo frame to be reloaded. So it'll then make a fetch back on that confirmed checkout path, and then reload that turbo frame. And that'll happen every 3 seconds. And so this is a great approach if you have a dashboard or something else, but it can get a little bit complicated if you have something like a comment section, because if you have many comments, then you don't want this to be reloaded every 3 seconds. That could add additional load on the server that's not required. So if you are implementing polling in your application, you may need a few different stimulus controllers for the different types of polling. You could do one for the turbo frame reloading, but then in this episode, we're going to look at one where we're just going to append any new comments. So we have it set to refresh every 3 seconds. So when we make a post, within 3 seconds, we should see it pop up on the other browser. And that worked. So I think that there is a use case for both of these approaches because they are tackling similar but very different things. So to start off, we will go ahead and get action text installed with the Rails action_text:install. Then I'll generate a model for our comments, and we'll just have a name and then a content, which will make the rich_text. So that won't be an attribute on our comment model, but instead it'll use the action text. We'll then generate a controller for our comments, and we'll just need the index action for a view, but we'll also need the create action. So I'll create a resources for the comments, and we'll say that we only need the index and the create action. We'll also go ahead and make our root path, the comments. But then there's also one other thing that we want to do. We want to keep our index page very simple. We don't want to start polluting it with our polling feature. So instead, I'm going to create a namespace on the comments. We'll create a block and we'll have a resource and we'll just call it poll. And we only need the show page. So this way, our polling endpoint will be separate from the index comments. They will be very similar, but now we don't have to worry about any other business logic that's happening on the index action, and we can try to make this polling as simple as possible. So we can generate that controller for the comments poll, and I'll just clean up the routes again because that got automatically updated. But that'll create the namespace where we have our comments controller and the index action. We'll also need that create action, but then we have the comments controller with the poll. And I'm actually going to make this plural just to be consistent with the Rails naming. So even though we had the singular resource poll, if we did a Rails routes, and if we look for that poll, you'll see that it still wants to go to that polls controller. So we can use the singular in this resource, but in the comments folder, it will be the polls pluralized controller. And so within the view, I pasted in just the normal comments view where we had the header, we have a form, and then we have a list of all of our comments. And within the comment partial, we'll have a little avatar on the name. We'll list out the name, when it was created, and then the content of that comment. In our model, we'll have some validations for the name and the content. And in the comments controller, we'll set up the index action and the create action, where on the index action, we have that form for the new comment, and then we have all of our comments eager loading in the action text. And on the create action, We still need to define the comments because we are going to re-render the index if the comment does not save successfully. But if it does, then it'll just redirect to the comments path. So if we go ahead and run the Rails DB migrate and start up the Rails application, then we can test this out and we can make the post. And we got the post, but it never gets broadcasted. The user would have to refresh their page in order to see the change. And so that's less than ideal. And then that brings us where we need to add in the polling. So we could take the TurboFrame reload approach, and I think that would be great in some situations, but in this particular case, I don't think it's going to be our best fit because we are rendering up to 50 comments, and you don't want to do that every 3 seconds for each user on that page. So I am going to generate a stimulus controller, and we'll call it the poller. If you are going to be adding multiple pollers in, one for the TurboFrame reload, one for this incremental polling, then you may want to give this a different name. So we'll go ahead and generate this. And so within this stimulus controller, we are going to need these static targets, and we'll just need one, and it'll be our list where we'll be injecting in the new records. And then we'll also have these static values, and we'll need our URL, which is a string. We'll have a last seen ID, and this last seen ID will be useful because it's going to allow us to just fetch the new records that were created after this ID. And then we'll have the interval, which is a type of number, and we'll have a default value of 3 seconds or 3000 milliseconds. So in the connect function, we'll set this .timer is equal to the set interval, and then we'll create a function called this.poll. And we want to do this on the interval value. Whenever we have an event listener or some kind of interval within our stimulus controller, it's important that we have the disconnect function, which is our destructor, to then clear that interval, and we can just do this.timer. So for this poll function, there's one thing that I'm going to change right off the bat, and that's because we don't want to hold up any kind of network traffic or other JavaScript execution. So we are going to make this asynchronous. So we can set a constant for our response. We'll set this equal to the await, and then we can fetch. We'll use some backtick so we can interpolate in this .url value. We'll then add a question mark so we can pass in the last seen ID parameter, and we'll then interpolate in this .last seen ID value. We'll then set our HTML is equal to the await because we are getting from this response the text. So once we have this, we can have a guard clause if that HTML, we can use the trim function is equal to an empty string, then we can return because then there's nothing to do. But we can then call this .list target, and we can insert the adjacent HTML. We want to do this after begin, and we want to do it for the HTML. And so this should work once we implement it on our view. But there is one problem because after 3 seconds, it's then going to fetch that last seen ID again, the request to our URL, and then it's going to inject in all of that data again. And so we need to change this .last seen ID value, and we want to make sure that we are making it a number, and we can get this .list target, the first element, child, and on there, we can create a data set, and let's create something called the poll ID. So that way, we'll get the latest record, and we'll update the last seen ID value to that newest record. So that way, the next time this makes a request, it's only going to request after that newest record that was inserted in. So let's go ahead and create that poll ID, which is going to be in our views on the comments because that's what we are injecting in. And we can create the data-poll-id, and we want this to be our comment.id. And the polls controller on the show action, we'll get that last seen ID, and we'll set it to the params of the last seen ID, and let's make sure it's an integer. We'll then get our comments, and that's going to be equal to the comment with rich text content, because content is the attribute for our rich text on the comment model, and embeds. We want to do this where the ID is greater than and that last seen ID. And we also want to order this with the ID descending. So when we grab that first element, we are grabbing that latest ID. We then render the partial, and let's just render the comments comment partial. So we are reusing as much as we can with the collection of the comments. And let's also add the layout and set this to false. So we're not having to render the head or body, we are just rendering this block of text for the partials. So then in our index view, where we have our list of comments, we can create the data controller for our polar. We'll have the data polar value for the URL. We'll set that equal to the comments poll path. We also need the polar last seen ID. We'll set that equal to our comments. We'll grab the first item. We'll safely navigate to the ID and make sure it's an integer. And if we wanted to, we can have the polar interval value, and we can set this to whatever we want. By default, it's 3000 milliseconds. So that's a bit redundant here. But if you wanted to make it every 5 seconds or something, you could do that as well. So we also need to add our list target, and that's going to be on the outer div of all of our comments. So we have our data polar target, and we'll make this for our list. And so that's all we should have to do. We can go ahead and start up our Rails application, and then we can create a test. We'll post it, and within 3 seconds, we'll see it come over. And then we can do it the other way, where we'll post it, and within 3 seconds, we see it come over as well. So that works. And it's one of those things, again, where it can be really important to have accurate data as soon as possible. And if we look at the logs, we can see that the last seen ID gets incremented, and this response is very fast. We're also not dealing with a lot of data, so that is expected, and we are using an index column as well. So you could use the created at timestamp, but then you would want to make sure that created at is also indexed. Otherwise, you may not see an issue now, but that polling could get slower and slower over time. In the next episode, we're going to keep the same functionality. However, we are going to handle an additional layer that addresses some production concerns, like pausing on hidden tabs, surviving network errors, deduping overlapping requests, and tearing down the timer cleanly. So I think this is a good starting point, and it can work in many situations, but depending on the sensitivity of what we are working with, we may want to make it a bit more production ready. And it's not too much more complicated, it's just a bit more nuanced. So again, polling isn't the always solution, but it is stable and it's proven. It does add the network overhead and some additional server calculations, which scales up as you have more users on that page. So a highly trafficked page, polling may not be the right answer. But in other situations, it may be a great fit to reload that turbo frame. And in other times, you may want to reach for something where we inject in the new records. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. For more videos, check out driftandruby.com.